local library. I'm not gonna say which one, but I've been a part of the summer reading program, and I've put in almost 1,000 hours this summer. So I'm sorry, 1,000 minutes this summer. So a lot of hours. Um, you know, in conjunction, combination with myself and others, in a collaborative effort to get to 1,400,000 minutes. Um, with all of the DoD based libraries combined in an effort to get to almost 1.5 million minutes read. Yeah, we hit about 50%. The reading program ends at the end of the month of July. And then, prizes will be given out, adult prizes as well as prizes for kids and things of that nature. So for myself, I've been reading a lot of children's books with my little ones, as well as I've been really locked in with a new author, Daniel Goleman, as well as Gaber Mate. Um, I really enjoy his The Myth of Normal, Gaber's, and then for Daniel Goleman, Social Intelligence, Emotional Intelligence, and now I'm reading Focus, and it's really cool. To go back to the recent Myth of Normal, um, I think it's chapter 13 when it talks about forcing the brain in the wrong direction. From a young adolescent age, children are constantly seeking guidance from adults. And when they have a disconnect in that relationship, they oftentimes find ways to fill the gaps. It's unfortunate because, amongst peer groups, it's called peer orientation. They seek out relationships. It's, of course, having friends at a young age is important because, friendships, bonds, laughter, joy, memories. Yes. But when the parent is not there to guide them with emotional regulations and discipline and just different life lessons that should be instilled in the youth, they seek out their peers, and that's where they fall short, and that's where they end up having a lot of mishaps. Anyways, I don't want to get off, but it's a really good book. The Myth of Normal is really good, and then Social Intelligence really just alludes to the fact that we're wired for connection. We're constantly in a neural delay. It's a lot of physiological and neurological science that is back behind that book. Just speaking on just how we mirror others when they enter the room, how one person can suck the energy out of a room, and there's things like emotional contagion that can transpire. So it's really important who you give your energy to and when. And it's also important, how you present yourself. Smile on your face, smile on your heart, whatever the phrase may be. But anyways, what I wanted to do was take some time to read Daniel Goleman's Focus. Okay, so we have it here. It's the hidden driver of excellence. So we're about 3 minutes in, so I'll probably put a timestamp or something in the comments so people can skip ahead. But just to give him some credit, yeah, he has eco-literate, ecological intelligence, social intelligence, primal leadership, destructive emotions, healing emotions, emotional intelligence. I mean, the list goes on. A lot of great works. I mean, even if you just skim or just get just cliff notes, just to put yourself in the right mindset, it's amazing. So this is for the well-being of generations to come. Just a thoughtful, just a thoughtful, yikes, whatever that is flying around just took my attention. Just a thoughtful statement when dedicating, your book. So this came out back in 2023. It's the hardcover. I think what I'll probably start with is probably just reading one chapter here on stream, and then I'll get out of here. I don't really want to eat up too much time, but yeah. So we'll just start with the subtle faculty. Okay. To watch John Berger, house detective, track the shoppers wandering the first floor of the department store on Manhattan's Upper East Side is to witness attention in action. In a nondescript black suit, white shirt, and red tie, walkie talkie in hand, John moves perpetually, his focus always riveted on one or another shopper. Call him the eyes of the store. It's a daunting challenge. There are more than 50 shoppers on his floor at any one time, drifting from one jewelry counter to the next, perusing the Valentino scarves, sorting through the Prada pouches, As they browse the goods, John browses them. John waltzes among the shoppers, a study in Brownian motion. Just gonna write that down. So there's gonna be a couple of words that I come across that that I'm just uncertain of. So Brownian, I don't know what that means. It's capitalized Brownian motion. Okay. All right. For a few seconds he stands behind For a few seconds he stands behind a purse counter, his eyes glued to a prospect, then flits to a vantage point by the door, only to glide to a corner where a perch allows him a circumspect look. Look, man, there's some words might have said in life, but we will look at the definition later. Circumspect, circumspect look at a potentially suspicious trio. While customers see only the merchandise, oblivious to John's watchful eye, he scrutinizes them all. There's a saying in India: when a pickpocketer meets a saint, all he sees are the pockets. In any crowd, what John would see are the pickpockets. His gaze roams like a spotlight. I can imagine his face seeming to screw up into a giant ocular orb reminiscent of the one-eyed Cyclops. John is focus embodied. Pardon me. What does he scan for? It's a way their eyes move or a motion in their body that tips him off to the intention of pilfer. John tells me. Or those shoppers bunched together, or the one furtively glancing around. Now, see, there's some terms in here that are just like, bro, what? Furtively. I've been doing this so long, I just know the signs. As John zeroes in on one shopper among the 50, he manages to ignore the other 49 and everything else. A feat of concentration amid a sea of distraction. Such awareness alternating with his constant vigilance for telling but rare signal, demands several varieties of attention: sustained attention, alerting, orienting, managing, all that, each based in a distinctly unique web of brain circuitry, and each an essential mental tool. John's sustained scan for a rare event represents one of the first facets of attention to be studied scientifically. Analysis of what Analysis of what helped us stay vigilant during World War II, spurred by the military's need to have radar operators who could stay at peak alert for hours, and by the finding that they missed more signals toward the end of their watch as attention lagged. So basically, what they're alluding to is that you're sharp up front, and this is a uh, a study that we've noticed all the way back in World War II. Yeah, I mean you're more alert, earlier in the day, depending upon your work schedule, sleep schedule. But anyways, focus. At the height of the Cold War, I remember visiting a researcher who had been commissioned by the Pentagon to study vigilant levels during sleep deprivation lasting 3 to 5 days. About how long it estimated the military officers deep in some bunkers would stay awake during World War III. Fortunately, his experiment never had to be tested against a hard reality. Although his encouraging finding was that even after 3 or more sleepless nights, people could pay keen attention and their motivation as high enough, which was high enough. But if they didn't care, they would nod off immediately. In very recent years, the science of attention has blossomed far beyond vigilance. That science tells us these skills determine how well we perform any task. If they are stunted, we do poorly. If muscular, we can excel. Our very nimbleness in life depends on this subtle faculty. That's the name of the chapter. While the link between attention and excellence remains hidden most of the time, it ripples through almost everything we seek to accomplish. This supple tool embeds within countless mental operations. A short list of some basics includes comprehension, memory, learning, sensing how we feel and why, reading emotions in other people, and interacting smoothly. Surfacing this invisible factor in effectiveness lets us better see the benefits of improving this mental faculty and better understand just how to do that. Through an optical illusion of the mind, we typically register the end products of attention. Our ideas, good and bad, a telling wink or inviting smile, the whiff of morning coffee, without noticing the beam of awareness itself. Though it matters enormously for how we navigate life, attention in all its varieties, hold on. Though it matters enormously for how we navigate life, attention in all its varieties represent a little noticed and underrated mental asset. My goal here is to spotlight this elusive and underappreciated mental faculty in the mind's operations and its role in living a fulfilling life. Our journey begins with exploring some basics of attention. John's vigilant alertness marks just one of these. Cognitive science studies a wide array, including concentration, selective attention, and open awareness, as well as how the mind deploys attention inwardly to oversee mental operations. Vital abilities build on such vital abilities build on such basic mechanics in our own mental life. For one, there's self-awareness, which fosters self-management. Then there's empathy, the basis of skill and relationship. These are fundamentals of emotional intelligence. As we'll see, weakness here, weakness here can sabotage a life or career. Let's go back. I'm going to go back just so you guys can really absorb that. Vital abilities build on such basic mechanics of our mental life. For one, there's self awareness, which fosters self management. Then there's empathy, the basis for skill and relationship. These are fundamentals of emotional intelligence. As we'll see, weakness here can sabotage a life or career, while strengths increase fulfillment and success. Beyond these domains, systems science take us to wider bands of focus as we regard the world around us, tuning us to the complex systems that define and constrain our world. Such an utter focus conforms a hidden challenge in attuning to these vital systems. Our brain was not designed for that task, and so we flounder. Yet systems awareness helps us grasp the workings of an organization, an economy, or the global processes that support life on this planet. All that can be boiled down to a threesome: inner, other, and outer focus. A well lived life demands we be nimble in each. The good news of attention comes from neuroscience labs and school classrooms, where the findings point to ways we can strengthen this vital muscle of the mind. Attention works much like a muscle. Use it poorly, and it can wither. Work it well, and it grows. We'll see how smart practice can further develop and refine the muscle of our attention, even rehab focus starved brains. For leaders to get results they need all three kinds of focus. Inner focus attunes us to our institutions, guiding values, and better decisions. Other focus smooths our connections to the people in our lives, and outer focus lets us navigate in the larger world. A leader tuned out of his internal world will be rudderless. One blind to the world of others can be clueless. Those indifferent to the larger systems within which we operate will be blindsided. And it's not just leaders who benefit from a balance in this triple focus. All of us live in daunting environments, rife with the tensions and competing goals and lures of modern life. Each of the three varieties of attention can help us find balance where we can both be happy and productive. Attention, from the Latin attendere, to reach toward, connects us in this world, shaping and defining our experiences. Attention. Cognitive neuroscientists Michael Posner and Mary Rothbart, shout out to them, write, provides the mechanisms, okay, that underlie our awareness of the world and the voluntary regulation of our thoughts and feelings. I'm going to go back. Michael Posner and Mary Rothbart, again, shout out to them. They write that from cognitive neuroscientists, they provide the mechanisms that underlie our awareness of the world and the voluntary regulation of our thoughts and feelings. Anne Trisman, a dean of these research areas, notes that how we deploy our attention determines what we see. Or, as Yoda says, your focus is your reality. The endangered human moment. A little girl's head came only up to her mother's waist as she hugged her mom and held her fiercely as they rode a ferry on a vacation island or to a vacation island. The mother, though, didn't respond to her or even seem to notice. She was absorbed in her iPad all the while. There was reprise. There was reprise a few minutes later. As I was getting into a shared taxi van with nine sorority sisters who that night were journeying to a weekend getaway. Hmm. Within a minute of taking their seats in the dark van, dim lights flicked on as one of the sisters checked an iPad or tablet. Desultory conversations sputtered along while they text and scrolled through Facebook. So we're going to write down desultory, and I'll just even write down reprise just because earlier I was like, bro, what? But mostly there was silence. The indifference of that mother and the silence among the sisters are symptoms of how technology captures our attention and disrupts our connections. In 2006, the word pizzled entered our lexicon. Pizzled, bro. What the heck is that? Entered our lexicon. A combination of puzzled and pissed. It captured the feeling people had when the person they were with wiped out a Blackberry and started talking to someone else. Back then, people felt hurt and indignant in such moments. We'll write down indignant. I think that's a good one. Not everybody knows or has context as to how to use these terms. Today, it's the norm, sadly. Teens, the vanguard of the future, are the epicenter. In the early years of this decade, their monthly text message count soared to 3,417. Double the number, double the number just a few years earlier. Oh, it doubled. Oh, wow. Wow. Meanwhile, their time on the phone dropped. The average American teen gets and sends more than 100 texts a day, about 10 every waking hour. Oof. I've seen a kid texting while he rode his bike. This is out of the book. A friend reports, I visited some cousins in New Jersey recently, and their kids had every electronic gadget known to man. All I saw were the tops of their heads. They were constantly checking their iPhones for who had texted them, what had updated on Facebook, and they were lost in some video game. They're totally unaware of what's happening around them and clueless about how to interact with someone for any length of time. Now, mind you, this book came out in 2013. I've got 2 more pages, we'll be good. Today's children are growing up in a reality, one where they are attuning more of more to machines and less to people than has ever been true in human history. That's troubling for several reasons. For one, the social and emotional circuitry of a child's brain learns from contact and conversation with everyone it encounters over the course of a day. These interactions mold brain circuitry. The fewer hours spent with people and the more spent staring at a digitized screen portends deficits. Oh, wow. I was struggling with that. Portends. I'll just put in parentheses deficits. I would imagine portends alludes to like creates, but anyways. Digital engagement comes at a cost in FaceTime with real people, the medium where we learn to read nonverbals. The new crop of natives in this digital world may be adroit. I'll do a separate video going over these words, just like word of the day shorts or something like that. Adroit at the keyboard. But they can all but they can be all thumbs when it comes to reading behavioral face to face in real time. Hmm. Huh. Let's see. Particularly in sensing the dismay of others when they stop to read a text in the middle of talking with them. It's really sad when you really think about that, that these things were noticed, examined, assessed and documented and then like put into literature. That's the saddest part of it all is that it's not as though these things are not just in one's mind. These are realities. And the worst part about it is that um this was written back in 2013. Oh, well over 10 years ago. So you have to imagine even those teens from back then are adults and let's just say they're having kids at 18 to 20, what would they be now? 23. They're raising children on anyways. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but it's unfortunate that um you know no problem gets easier tomorrow, and if no one is even attempting to make an effort to correct um to just correct the trajectory of how far we've gotten off of our social norms, our I mean it's it's cooked, man. That's the best way I can put it. It's really depressing to think what the future holds. And let me just take a step away from reading this book for a second. I mean, even in this instance, I'm out here reading to a phone as a grown man. you know, Not only just to better myself in terms of reading, but just like if you think about that, I mean, it's like I could be reading to an audience, but the audience is this is an unlisted live stream. I would be reading to these people live, but I decided to not do it live because I don't want to be distracted. But it's just like, wow. Anyways, let's get back to annotating this. A college student observes the loneliness and isolation that go along with living in a virtual world of tweets, status updates, and posting pictures of my dinner. He notes that his classmates are losing their ability for conversation, let alone the soul searching discussions that can enrich the college years. And he says, no birthday, no concert, hangout session, or party can be enjoyed without taking the time to distance yourself from what you are doing. To make sure that those in your digital world know instantly how much fun you are having. Then there are the basics of attention, the cognitive muscle that let us follow a story, see a task through to the end, learn or create. In some ways, we'll see the endless hours young people spend staring at electronic gadgets. Okay, let me start again. In some ways, as we'll see, the endless hours young people spend staring at electronic gadgets may help them acquire specific cognitive skills, but there are concerns and questions about how those same hours may lead to deficits in core mental skills. An eighth grade teacher tells me that there are many years she has had successive classes of students read the same book. Edith Hamilton, Mythology. Her students have loved it until 5 years or so ago. I started to see kids not so excited. Even high achieving groups could not get engaged with it, she told me. They say the reading is too hard, the sentences are too complicated. It takes a long age. She wonders if perhaps her students' ability to read has been somehow compromised by the short, choppy messages they get in text. One student confessed he spent 2,000 hours in the last year playing video games. She adds, it's hard to teach comma rules when you're competing with World of Warcraft. At the extremes, Taiwan, Korea, and other Asian countries see internet addiction to gaming, social media, virtual realities among youth as a national health crisis, isolating the young. I concur. Around 8% of American gamers between ages 8 and 18 seem to meet seem to meet psychiatry's diagnostic criteria for addiction. Brain studies reveal changes in their neural reward system while they game that are akin to those found in alcoholics and drug abusers. Occasional horror stories tell of addicted gamers who slept all day and game all night, rarely stop to eat or clean themselves, and even get violent when family members try to stop them. Report demands joint attention. I'm sorry, I said report. Rapport demands joint attention. Let me just write down rapport. I know I know rapport, but I don't even know. I look. Anyways, rapport. Rapport demands joint attention and mutual focus. Our need to make an effort to have such human moments has never been greater, given the ocean of distractions we all navigate daily. Moving on. The impoverishment of attention. We're almost done here. Then there are the cost of attention decline among adults. In Mexico, an advertising rep for a large radio network complains. A few years ago, you could make a 5 minute video for your presentation to an ad agency. Today, you have to keep it to a minute and a half. If you don't grab them by then, everyone starts checking for messages. Damn. All right, last pages, and then we'll be out of here. A college professor who teaches film tells me he's reading a biography of one of his heroes, the legendary French director. I think it's Francis Truffaut. Anyways, let's see. But he finds I can't read more than 2 pages at a stretch. I get this overwhelming urge to go online and see if I have a new email. I think I'm losing my ability to sustain concentration on anything serious. The inability to resist checking email or Facebook rather than focus on the person talking to us leads to the sociologist Irving Goffman, a a masterly observation. I'm sorry. Let me not butcher this. The inability to resist checking email or Facebook rather than focus on the person talking leads us to the sociologist Irving Goffman, a masterly observer of social interaction, called an away, a gesture that tells another person, I'm not interested in what is going on here and now. At the third All Things D, or digital conference back in 2005, conference hosts unplugged the Wi Fi in the main ballroom because of the glow from laptop screens, indicating that those in the audience were not glued to the action on stage. They were away, in a state, as one participant put it, of continuous partial attention. The mental blurriness induced by an overload of information puts inputs from the speakers, the other people in the room, and what they were doing on their laptops. So, wow, that's unfortunate. To battle such partial focus today, Silicon Valley workplaces have banned laptops, mobile phones, and other digital tools during meetings. Who would have thought? After not checking her mobile for a while, a publishing executive confesses she gets a jangly feeling. You miss that hit you get when there's a text. You know, it's not right to check your phone when you're with someone, but it's addictive. So she and her husband have a pact. See how that goes. When we get home from work, we put our phones in. If it's in front of me, I get anxious. I've got to check it. I've just got to check it. But now we try to be more present for each other. We talk. I don't know what bug that is, dude, but it's super loud, bro. Anyways, our focus continually fights distractions, both inner and outer. The question is, what are our distractors costing us? An executive at a financial firm tells me, when I notice that my mind has been somewhere else during a meeting, I wonder what opportunities I've been missing right there or right here. Patients are telling a physician, I know that they are self medicating with drugs for attention deficit disorder or narcolepsy to keep up with their work. A lawyer tells him, if I didn't take this, I couldn't read contracts. One patient, once patients need a diagnosis for such prescriptions, now for now for many those medications have become routine performance enhancers. Yikes. Growing numbers of teenagers are faking symptoms of attention deficit to get prescriptions for stimulants, a chemical route to attentiveness. And Tony Schwartz, a consultant who coaches leaders on how to best manage their energy, tells me we get people to become more aware of how they use attention, which is always poorly. Attention is now the number one issue on the minds of our clients. The onslaught of incoming data leads to sloppy shortcuts like triaging. I'm just going to write triaging just in case. We're going to add that. Like triaging email by heading. Um, skipping much of voicemails, skimming messages and memos. So that's basically the onslaught of data, just this the sloppy shortcuts. It's not just that we've developed habits of attention that makes us less effective, but that the weight of messages a little, leaves us too little time simply to reflect on what they really mean. It's not that we've developed habits of attention that makes us less effective, but the weight of the messages leaves us too little time simply to reflect on what they really mean. I wonder if that's just a result of just being used to things being so sporadic or so quick. I have to keep my eyes peeled. I'm hoping there's no damn animals out here, but so far so good. Anyways, all of this was foreseen way back in 1977 by the Nobel-winning economist Herbert Simon, writing about the coming information-rich world, that what information consumes is the attention of its recipients. Hence, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. Wow. All right, man. And then we'll pick back up on the anatomy of attention. We'll get back to part one. But yeah, just to put that in perspective, that was like only 13 pages, but you know, it takes that long. What, 30 minutes? 2 or 3 minutes a page ish. So maybe. I'm a bit of a slow learner and I like to digest as I go. But anyways, if you guys made it to the end, we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back and review some of the words here. I don't know what this says. I don't know what that word is. It's kind of unfortunate. I have to go back and figure out where that is. It's before circumscript. Okay. Let me see. It's before circumscript. So like, what's the word, bro? I don't see it. Also, it's starting to get dark. I can barely see with these shades. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Oh, that's what it was. My pen didn't have ink. It was Brownian. Brownian motion. I don't know what that means. Anyways, so yeah. So I'll be reading this probably on and off. Maybe if you guys like this, just leave a comment, let me know. 40-minute live stream. But we're gonna leave here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe 14 words to review. And so what I'll do is probably do a series where we'll do a follow-up with the words that we're learning or actually learning, I should say. There's some words that we've heard like reprised or indignant, rapport, right? But um, getting the actual definition and having it in context, I think would probably do us it was a solid, I should say. So I'll just read them off here, but what I'll do is I'll drop them probably in the comment section. But Brownian motion, that was interesting. Circumspect, circumspect. Okay. Pilfer, furtively, uh, desultory, desultory, reprised. Excuse me, reprised. Pizzled, which is actually just a new word between pissed and puzzled, so that's just a new word. Indignant, portends, yep. Adroit, rapport, impoverishment, impoverishment. I'm sorry, impoverishment. Root word like poverty, impoverishment, and then triaging. So cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it in terms of reading. I'm gonna take these off, man, because this it's starting to get dark. When it's like this and it's quiet, yeah, I don't know what could be out here, but yeah, nice views. Um, yeah, super nice, nice 40-minute read. I'll annotate this for the summer reading program. You know, doing good things, man. Staying offline, keeping it positive. But yeah, hopefully this motivates others. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload these. Um, I think I'm gonna upload probably once I get the entire book read, and then just do like a surprise series. So you guys stay safe in the meantime. I've eaten up a lot of dead space on this first initial video, but it'll get better with time, more practice, more repetition, and more intentionality. But again, attention, attention. You know, be mindful of where it is you put your attention and your energy. It matters, and it's not my word. These things have been annotated by many authors, many of economist. And then, I mean, this goes back as far as 1977 by the Nobel Prize recipient, saying that when there's an overabundance of information, there is a deficit in attention. Wow. Powerful stuff, man. So hopefully you got something out of this. I'm out of here. Peace.